Welcome back to the Engineered Impact Podcast. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've had a pretty rough day today. It is. It's been a violent and crazy week in the United States. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of uncertainty, and as I have just kind of observed, what I can see locally, what I can see on social media, as I look at the official responses to all of this, which I find atrocious. It already had me feeling pretty down today, and very just feeling very thoughtful, pondering a lot of different things. And then tonight, we got word that someone that we knew just a little bit had passed away unexpectedly. And the combination of all of that today has just, I don't know. It's just, I've got all kinds of thoughts running through my head. So I'm just going to ramble a little bit here and we'll see what comes out. But, the real thing that I've thought about tonight as I've tried to process all of this is that, anytime somebody passes away, that's especially when it's someone close to you. In this case, this individual wasn't terribly close to us, but I had an enormous amount of respect for him. Which is interesting because it's caused me to reflect on the fact that someone that you don't even know that well, but that you've observed, can just have such a presence, such an influence on you, that they command your respect, that not even knowing them that well, but just kind of observing who they are, what their family's like, what they're like, how they interact with others. Just observing those things in certain individuals, they have such a presence, they have such a, I don't know, just, I guess an inherent goodness, an inherent way of being that they can have an influence on me, even without me interacting a lot with them directly. And the other thing that, anytime something like this happens is it just makes me step back and really reflect on why any of what I'm doing matters and whether I'm doing the things that matter most. If you're probably a lot like me, that when you lose someone, it just makes you want to gather around your family, the people that you love, and just take some time to reflect on what's most important. And so as I've tried to process these two things, the things that are going through my head are, one, even with all the chaos, all of the, sometimes downright evil that accompanies living in this mad, crazy world that we're a part of, it's still such an incredible experience. It's such an incredible opportunity. My belief system, someday we're all going to go on to an eternal reward. And I don't really know what that'll look like, right? But it's going to last a long time, right? I believe that'll be an eternal reward. It'll last forever. And so when I think about that, I realize that this time that we have to live on earth where we're mortal, really is an extremely singular and unique opportunity. And yes, there are bad things that happen. There are bad things that happen to good people. All of us experience heartache. All of us experience challenges. All of us experience failure. And yet, despite it all, we're afraid to leave this, right? We worry about death. We want to cling to this thing that we know. And that just makes me realize that it's such a precious gift. This time that we have, every hour of every day, is such a precious gift that we need to be taking advantage of it. And so, as I'm processing all this, I just can't help tonight thinking about, am I doing the things that are most important? Am I really spending my time? Am I doing the work that is helping me to discover and develop my talents, my skills, the opportunities that I have to go out and do something important, whether that's with my family, whether that's in my community, whether that's in my profession? Am I spending my time doing the things that matter most and that will provide a rich experience for my life that will allow me to provide a rich experience with my kids, with my spouse, with my coworkers, with my friends. And so I don't have an answer. There are things that I'm thinking of that I would like to change. There are things that I'm thinking of that I'm so glad that I've taken the time to do, particularly the investments that I've made in time with my family. I'm so glad that I've taken those opportunities, because if it were all to end tomorrow, they would have those memories with me. And hopefully those are mostly good memories, right? If something were to happen to one of them tomorrow, so grateful that we've taken time and been intentional about spending time together, making memories. There are things that I want to change, particularly around really being intentional about figuring out what is it I'm good at? What is it I can be a rock star at? And spending more intentional time figuring out how to develop the strengths around that thing so that I can go out and I can help people, I can make a difference, I can solve problems in the best way that I know how. If there's anything that the last couple of weeks have reminded us of, the world is full of problems that seem absolutely insurmountable, that just feel so big that it's hard to know where to even start to fix them, right? And like we've already talked about this week, the way to start is focusing on your little circle of influence, right? What can you do with the relationships you have, with the skills that you have, with the knowledge that you have to start, right? To take a first step. But I really believe that the answer to these problems does not lie in an election. It doesn't lie in destroying things. It doesn't lie in going out and getting angry on the streets, right? And maybe those are parts of the solution. I don't know. But I think ultimately the real solutions will only come when people that are willing to work hard, that are willing to figure out what they're good at, and are willing to go out, do the uncomfortable work of finding the people that need their help and helping them, figuring out how to help those people. And if 300 plus million of us were all doing that, if we were all spending our time trying to figure out what we're uniquely good at, who can we help with those things that we're uniquely good at, and doing the work to be able to solve those problems for those people in the best possible way, I think that we could turn this country around, and I think we could turn the world around, right? Now I know that sounds very ethereal. I don't have any specific answers for you tonight, but I just think that if we were all doing that, if we were all spending our time trying to figure out the best way to help other people, that doesn't mean we have to go out and do charity all the time. Like, I think business is an awesome thing, because business represents people that have honed their strengths so much that they can solve a problem that people are willing to pay for. And they're only willing to pay for it because that problem is causing so much pain in their lives that they're willing to pay for a solution. That's awesome. Like, solving problems through business, solving problems through charity or volunteering, whatever, however we do it. If you are tapping into your best strengths, your skills, and solving problems for people, that's awesome. And I think if all of us were focusing on doing that, we can make an enormous difference. The differences that we need are not going to happen by voting a new group of self-serving politicians into office. Anyway, I don't want to delve too much into politics and things like that, but so that's one set of things. And one set of thoughts that I've had is just around, what am I grateful that I've done, and what do I want to adjust, so that, whenever my number comes up and my time's up on earth, I can look back with the least degree of regret, right? The other thing is just what I was talking about a minute ago, right? The fact that even though I didn't know this individual all that well, I still feel that they had an influence on me. They gave me an example of characteristics that I would want to emulate. And the fact that they were able to do that without me ever really having very much interaction with them. In fact, I don't know that I ever had a direct conversation with this individual. It was just observing them on a regular basis. And I'm just kind of in awe at that ability of some people to just have a presence that in and of itself influences people for good. And so I've been asking myself, like, what is that? What was it about this individual that made me want to be better? That inspired me that I could do more. I could reach out to more people. I could talk to more people. I could develop more friendships than I was doing. I didn't need to be as introverted as I was. And I don't have all the answers, but I got to think, some of it involves being around people like that more, spending more time with people who have that kind of presence, who are influencing people both through their words and their actions and their day-to-day work, and people that just have it, right? That just make people better by being there. So spending more time with people like that has got to be a big part of it. Reading books written by people like that, and just doing whatever we can to develop a mindset, develop a confidence and an ability to touch other people, whether we're doing it actively or we're just doing it through our example and our influence. Anyway, I recognize that that's a lot of just kind of random thoughts. That's the kind of day I've had. It's been a very emotional day for me. It's been a rough day, and through it all, I just had a bunch of thoughts. So I never promised this would all be polished. So this is pretty raw, but hopefully there's a nugget somewhere in there that will spark a thought in you, cause you to kind of step back and reflect at, what are you doing with your time? How are you spending your time? Who are you spending it with? And are there changes that you want to make so that, when your time comes to go, you can look back without regret on the life that you live. You can be grateful for the experiences you had, the way you leverage the experiences you had to grow, whether those were positive or negative experiences. Did you look at those experiences and find the lessons that were there to be learned and grow from them? And then just what are you doing to become someone of influence, someone that can have an impact, right? That's what we're all about at the end of the day here is what are you doing to become someone who can have an impact for good on others? All right. So those are my thoughts for you today. Tomorrow, hopefully we'll be back to a little bit more normal, more upbeat topics, but that was what was on my mind tonight. Wanted to share. All right. Stay safe out there and have a good night, everyone.